we as humans believe that the answer to most problems is something we're already good at. It's our natural inclination. So, Jillian, for you, I think you want to sell your way out of everything. And for us, we're like, we can write content and design and, use technology to get to a place with our, brand or our business. And sometimes that's the solution. But oftentimes, the reason you're struggling is because you need to learn something else.
What's up, and welcome back to the Scale Your Sales podcast. I am your host and your soon-to-be podcast BFF, Jillian Murphy. If you are absolutely exhausted of hearing the same podcast that only leaves you feeling motivated and just a bunch of fluff, well, you have absolutely landed on the right podcast today. In this episode, we are going to talk about the most important skill you need to generate your business, and that is sales. We are going to dive into topics such as messaging, marketing, how to build lead generation organically, and we are going to talk about how to create consistent cash months inside of your business. And we are also going to talk about how to build a company that isn't just about making money, but is also bringing in actual wealth, while getting back to what I know is your most important thing, time freedom. Now, I am here for real talk, real advice, straightforward tip, and no BS. You can always walk away and implement everything that we talk about in our show and move it into your business immediately. But I have to tell you, I am not your typical business mentor. We are going to talk about things that nobody else is probably talking about on the internet. We are going to talk about what it takes to build a real company and not just about how to manifest your business or how you can make $1 million tomorrow. But if that's what you're looking for, this podcast is absolutely not for you. We are going to talk about the real skills to build a real business. Now, I have spent over 25 years in the corporate sales space, generating over $100 million in sales through multiple industries in the online and the brick and mortar space. I have been able to help over 500 entrepreneurs not only grow their sales, but scale their businesses. Several times per week, I'm going to bring you solo episodes, guest episodes, and even hot seat coaching so that you are able to scale your sales. Now, grab a pen and paper, your beverage of choice, and let's freaking go. What's up, friends? Welcome back to the podcast. This is going to be such a fun episode. I can already tell. I have two amazing humans on the podcast. Not only are they amazing, but they are this like husband and wife dynamic duo. I've had the opportunity to get to know them inside the Infinity program and just as humans in general. So Christopher and Tosca, welcome to the show. Tell my audience who you guys are and what you do.
Welcome. Yeah, we're so excited to be here. We together are Dream Tech. We are your marketing tech BFFs, and we do tech support, marketing support for solopreneurs, coaches, and creators.
I love it. Christopher, you want to chime in at all?
Yeah. And our background is that we both come from corporate cultures. We both come from technology companies, very large companies, where we had careers for quite a while. And for a couple of reasons, we've decided to leave that and to move into starting our own company. And the biggest reason was that we didn't feel like the things that we were doing day to day were actually making the kind of impact that we wanted. So instead of helping, large agencies get more stock photos, true story, or helping Google or Meta have better ads, we decided it was a better use of our time to help solopreneurs, coaches, content creators, wellness coaches, sales coaches, anyone who's really trying to connect with somebody else and make a difference in their lives. These are the kinds of people we wanted to help with technology to make sure it wasn't a barrier.
I love that. And you guys, I have just personally gotten to know them so well. And I don't think I have ever heard anyone talk so highly about two individuals ever. Like just the way that you guys show up and the way that you guys serve and the way that you guys just pour into your community is just absolutely incredible. And Christopher was the first man that we actually let into Infinity. And
We
he
let
is
him
like,
in.
he has set the precedence for that community for sure. So I want to just dive into tech because if you were listening to this podcast, you're just like me, you're like 87 years old when it comes to technology and you are scared shitless of it. But like, let's just dive into like, why do you think people fear technology so bad, especially in the entrepreneurial space?
I'll take the beginning, and Christopher, you can add on. I think a lot of us who are, my age or even a little bit younger, didn't grow up with it. So it's not built in the way that it might be for the Gen Zs, right? And also, I will say, and I've seen it firsthand, technology is made by men for the most part. And so there are some just kind of natural barriers there because it doesn't feel like it's made for us. Now, ultimately, it can be and it can be harnessed to be helpful to us. But I also think there is just a lot of resistance because it doesn't make you feel good. People want to feel good. They want to feel confident. They want to feel like they understand things. And sometimes technology doesn't help us go there.
Yeah, it's so good. Christopher,
Yeah.
do you agree with
Yeah,
that? Or do you, I
yeah,
mean, I feel like technology is so hard to understand.
I agree. I feel like a lot of these systems, what we're talking about, mostly are these business and marketing systems and platforms that you probably get tons of ads for every day in your Instagram. And they aren't set up to be something where you understand the value you're going to get out of it. Like people don't really think about technology for like what I can get specifically, how much time I can get back, what I can be empowered to do if I had these things set up. It's really more about the what and the how, which is more I agree more of like a male perspective of how things work in the world.
Yeah, and I love that you actually talked about the time because I think that's one of the
Yeah.
biggest things that people don't pay attention to is like, oh, I'm just going to kind of figure this out on my own. I'm going to Google it. I'm going to YouTube it. And it's like, how much time is this actually costing someone versus the cost of actually hiring someone? Because I know
Yeah.
that like people always say like, oh, I don't want to hire her out. It's going to cost me too much. But like, how much time is this actually taking you?
Yeah, and we have our own personal experience with that as solopreneurs, even though it's not with technology, it's with other things. I'll give you an example. So when I first started my other business where I'm a leadership coach and author, I thought, oh, I'm great at tech and I'm a writer. I should be able to bang out an amazing website really fast. So I did bang out a website really fast. Was it amazing? No, it was not amazing. In fact, it had, and I'm not kidding, had pictures of balloons on the front. Not me, not my face. And I showed it to somebody and she was like, where are you in this website? And I thought, why would I be on this website? Which now that I think about it, I think, what was I doing?
Yeah,
Well, I was hiding. I was hiding myself. And also, I couldn't see what my real value was. So I ended up hiring a branding coach, Steph Sheldon. She's fantastic.
amazing. Shout out to
Yeah,
her.
amazing. Like she saw me and held up a mirror to me and what I saw back, I was like, oh, that's who I am. And she put the whole thing together, the website, the language. Again, I'm a writer, and the language was amazing. And the photos that I could easily every day, like the simplicity of my social media for that brand instantly went up like 200-fold. Every day I was struggling. Oh my God, what do I do? What do I post? What do I say? And all of a sudden, it was this system. I had a brand system. I didn't think I needed that because, as Christopher said, we come from the agency background. We worked on big brands for 20 years. And I thought, I should be able to do this.
Yeah.
Well, should is when we get into trouble. I'm sure you've heard that before. Like
Yeah.
anytime we start saying, I should be able to, oh, who am I to invest in that? Oh, that's really expensive. And Jillian, she actually sold me kind of the way that you do. And she said, what are you going to do if you don't work with me?
Yeah.
And I didn't have an answer. And then she also said, and how is this working for you?
Yeah. It's one of my two of my favorite questions, you guys. How is this working for
I
you
know.
right now? And what are you going to do if you don't actually hire me?
We ask each
Yeah.
other that question all the time, Jillian, honestly. So,
Yeah. And it hit me, Jillian, and I was like, oh crap, I don't have an
yeah.
answer. And I have to tell you, it was some of the best money I've ever spent in my life. Can I say
Mhm.
that? Like,
Yeah.
really? Yeah.
Yeah. I love that you say that. Christopher, go ahead.
Oh, just going to add on to that, that there's this mentality or philosophy that happens a lot in business, but also in life, where we as humans believe that the answer to most problems is something we're already good at. It's our natural inclination. So, Jillian, for you, I think you want to sell your way out of everything. And for us, we're like, we can write content and design and, use technology to get to a place with our, brand or our business. And sometimes that's the solution, but oftentimes the reason you're struggling is because you need to learn something else. And for me personally, it was a little bit of a nudge from Tosca to get into the group with you, because I don't, I had to come to Jesus and say, look, I actually don't feel comfortable selling. It's not that I think I know how to sell. It's I need to get comfortable being uncomfortable with
Mhm.
things where I'm a beginner if I
Mhm.
ever want to get somewhere that I'm not already.
Mhm.
And I think that's a lot of what we want to talk about today with this sort of DIY mindset trap, is this idea that doing it yourself may mean that you have to be, you have to get into an uncomfortable zone before you're ever going to actually see growth.
Yeah. And I love that you say that about the fact of like you had to almost like be pushed to kind of come in a little bit or maybe nudged, lovingly nudged a little bit. Because what I will say is, I sit back and I watch all of you guys in the community. I pay attention. I'm super observant. And I will say, out of probably the 50 some people that we have in there, you are someone that shows up. Like you show up big, Christopher. You show up big for the community. You show up serving. You are serving new people. You are serving the OGs. So, like, from an outside standpoint, looking in, like, you have probably been uncomfortable in that group more than once, but it definitely does not show. And I know you've gotten clients out of there. You've gotten resources out of there. You've gotten collaborations out of there. But you, by doing something uncomfortable, is really why you're in the position that you're actually even in today. So, I love that you shared that story a little bit.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel really fortunate to have a wife who sees where I can grow and encourages me, and I feel fortunate we can communicate in a way that lets me do that. So anyway,
I
yeah.
Yeah,
love that.
that's true. Like, okay, I feel fortunate that he actually listened to me. It took a couple of times to get the message through, but I think the message of what Christopher's trying to convey to the listeners here is that we ultimately realized our limitations, both of us, and we
Yeah,
were just like, how
that's
much
right.
time do we have left here to spend trying to DIY these things? And we're not experts at this at all, and we could have experts helping us. I mean, I'm 55 years old. I don't have that much time. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I do have time, but I'm not 25 anymore. I'm not like,
Yeah.
oh, maybe one day I'll figure this all out.
Yeah.
And I think we were really inspired by your recent podcast about the 1%. And
Oh yeah.
we think there's a lot of overlap here with, being better at investing in ourselves and our business. This is our business. This isn't
Hmm.
a hobby. I don't
Yeah.
have time to mess around and do this wrong. Like, there's only so many coaches out there. Like, we don't want to do this wrong. We want to be working with the best so that we can, as you said, like, accelerate, invest for speed,
Hmm.
avoid some mistakes, save some time.
Yeah. I love that. Also, I would never have guessed you were 55. So,
Oh,
like, I'm literally just like mind blown right now. I'm like, please send me your skincare routine or whatever it is you're doing.
oh,
I
I
need to
have
buy it
professionals
immediately.
here.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
need to buy it immediately. Whatever it is that you're doing, send it all in my DMs, please.
Oh, you
Okay, so
got it.
let's shift gears to this like DIY mindset mentality. Why do you think that people are just like, I'm gonna like try to figure it out? Like I'm gonna like fuck around and figure it out. Why do they do this?
Tosca.
You go ahead.
I love this. I love this like marriage duo on here. It's like, no, you go. No, you go. You go first.
Um, I feel like, many of us, and especially women, I think, but also men, we're all taught that the things we're good at often don't translate into dollars. And so when we go to start our new businesses, we're sort of inclined to DIY everything instead of spending money to save us the time that would allow us to focus on our genius.
Mhm.
And but I think that DIY culture, or Tosca and I both think this, and what we've observed, it's sort of it's a mask for self doubt, and it undervalues your true expertise. And so, I think that we what we want to do is try to convince people that your time is valuable enough that you should be out there in front of your customers, like you say all the time, Jillian, in Infinity. If you aren't in front of your customers all day and you actually have spare time to do some of these technology things yourself, you need to rethink that, because you actually need to be filling your pipeline 24/7, or as much time as you can, and farm out the things that aren't core to your business, so that you can actually do the things that matter to you and the place where you shine and where you're special.
Yeah.
There's also some research that we looked at, that the Bank of America's Women Business Owner Spotlight, and it showed that women entrepreneurs are actually less likely than men to seek additional credit or funding for their businesses, and that they also feel the need to be like over prepared before they make investments. So women are great cautious investors, but when it comes to their own businesses, they're so conservative sometimes that they'll wait till they're, and this isn't, how can you know this, they're absolutely certain before they make a business investment. And so sometimes you might be missing some critical time there because you're just not sure. And again, back to your other podcast, like moving fast enough to learn, that gets lost when you're too cautious. And I think that this is something that women, we haven't been taught as young girls to take risks. But
Yeah.
that's not how we're
Like
brought
play
up.
it safe.
Yeah, play it safe, be supportive, do it yourself. As Christopher was saying, a lot of times we just think, oh, well, I should be able to figure this out. I'm smart. I'm a good business person, but we're not really thinking, what are the investments we need to make? And I love that you use that word all the time, Jillian. Like, one of the things when I was on one of your, I think it was the closer, and you were talking about making that investment, I thought, yeah, that is an investment. And I just think women are not taught to invest in ourselves that way.
Yeah, and
No.
part of the word investment, I'm sure, in any definition, inherent in investment is risk. So when you invest, you're sort of saying, okay, somebody can probably do this better than me. Somebody can probably do this faster than me, or even if they can't, they can free up my time so that I can do something that I'm actually better at than anybody, and actually provide the most value for myself. But it's that sense, like Tosca was saying, of being absolutely certain, that we run into all the time, where it's like, how do I know that email automation or a VA or someone is actually going to be the thing that makes a difference?
Mm-hmm.
And we try to talk to people and say, you look at people like you, Jillian, or any very successful solopreneur or small business. You have to ask them, do you honestly think that they got to where they were without making those investments?
Or without making mistakes. And I think
Right.
Totally.
there's
Yeah.
often that, right? Like, we're afraid to do the wrong thing, hire the wrong
Correct.
person. Then you can fire that person, you can move on, you can find another
I fired
person
a
to do
ton of
more.
people in my business.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll bet you have. I'll bet
Yeah.
you
I always
have.
say like hire slow and fire fast. That's
Mm,
like what we do.
smart.
I love
I mean,
that.
I hired someone today, and it's like if they don't work, like I'll get rid of them and I'll move on to
Yeah.
the next person, right? It's like I was pretty diligent about finding this person, and Paul interviewed him and we did some things, but it's like if it doesn't work, like we'll just move on to the next person. I'm not worried about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that confidence though probably took you a while to build and you kind of had to do those things anyway, like the feel the fear and do it anyway?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I have a really interesting question, and maybe you guys don't know the answer to this, but what do you think a solopreneur or a new business owner spends on mistakes when it comes to technology, trying to do it on their own?
I think it's hard to quantify the dollars, but I think we could probably ballpark the time. As someone like myself who I wouldn't say wasted, I did learn, but it was a
Yeah.
painful lesson. I would put it in months,
Hmm.
months of opportunity lost.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
I think if everyone listening, if you know what it takes to get one customer and what one customer can be worth to you, then you could quantify that in
Yeah.
some way for yourself and know how much time you actually are, spending doing something else instead of that core, you know, getting somebody from, uh, you know, uh, uninterested to invest, uninterested to invest it in your business. How do you focus on just those principles and outsource everything else?
We're
Yeah. It's
not the
so
only
good.
people obviously talking about this. I just recently read Dan Martell's Buy Back Your Time.
Such a good book.
It's such a great book. And
One of my favorites.
it sounds like so mind-blowingly simple, and yet we just don't tend to do the things he's talking
Mm-hmm.
about.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things that
Naturally.
he talks about in his book, I'm pretty sure it's Dan Martell, but it's like the four quadrants. It's like, what are you good at? What do you hate? What are you bad at? And what are you terrible at? And it's like
Mm,
the two bottom, like you should not be doing. If you're terrible at it and you're
Mm-hmm.
not good at it, like, why are you
why?
literally doing it? Like, I hate to say this, like, Paul's going to listen to this podcast and he's going to edit it, but Paul does all the shit I don't want to do. And he does all the shit that I'm bad at. Like,
You're
why would
probably
I
the
spend?
opposite quadrant.
Yeah. It's like, why would I spend my time doing things that I don't want to do or that I'm like terrible at? And trust me, when I do things that I'm terrible at, he's like, get out of here. Like, like
I
quit doing
love.
this. You guys, I ran my first webinar last week and I tried to, this is a great example. I tried to build the Canva slides on my own. He was on the webinar and he was literally like texting me like in it. He was like, I'm cringing watching this webinar.
Oh
Like what
no.
like what are these slides? And I was like, I just like tried to build it on my own. He's like, never again. There's
That's
spelling
so
errors. It's
funny.
terrible. It doesn't flow. So it's like here I am trying to do something that I'm bad at and I don't enjoy. And my audience is getting a bad experience or not a great experience versus like when you guys were on the closer and it like rocked. It was such a great presentation because like someone else did something that was in their zone of genius.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was so good. I loved the whole way that
I
that
mean,
slide
Paul
deck
crushed it. I
felt.
just showed up and
Yeah,
hated it.
I
Yeah.
remember, and I remember talking to him after. It was beautiful, but I know in a way it was kind of a hypothetical question that you asked about why would we spend our time in these bottom quadrants? But I
Yeah.
kind of actually have an answer, and
Tell
Yeah.
me.
it's from my coach slash design partner, Steph. She called out to me that I was essentially using my business, and this is pretty heavy, to recreate my corporate trauma. So this was my other
Ooh,
leadership side.
Mm-hmm.
And
good.
my book on that side of my business is about a new kind of leadership that puts people first. And yet, I spent my first 9 months marketing to some of the worst, most toxic managers who don't think there's anything wrong with how they manage. And I went after them because I wanted to fix that instead of putting my energy toward the new generation of leaders, millennials and Gen Zs who want to do things different and giving them a handbook, which I ultimately ended up doing. But it
Yeah.
took me so long to stop trying to prove myself or fix that problem, fix the thing that kind of hurt about corporate America.
Yeah.
And I feel like for some people who have their businesses, tech is like the last frontier, and they're like, God damn it, I'm going to be good at this. If it
Yep.
kills me, I'm
Yeah.
going to master this damn stuff.
Yep.
And it kind of doesn't kill them, but it might actually kill their spirit, their energy, their time,
So
their
good.
reserve.
Yeah, the DIY culture definitely is a morale killer. Actually have a little story. I used to be a musician, I mean, I'm
Really?
still a musician. Yeah, but I used to be like, I'd play and I'd tour. I'll send you links to my music. I don't.
Oh my
This is
God,
why we
please
have
do.
awesome mics.
Tosca, were you like a groupie in the front row or what? This
No,
is like
no,
later
no.
in
She never went. But um,
I want to just like hang out with the two of you guys and learn like all the stories. I feel like you guys are like the two
Okay,
most interesting cats ever.
deal.
this is a short story, but I was recording a song, and I had this whole kind of small record deal set up, and I was recording a song in Virginia with a producer I'd never met before. And just long story short, I got in there and I was like, okay, I'm gonna take control of this, because I'm a songwriter and I know what I'm doing. And I kind of went in there. I said, okay, this is what we should do. We should do this first. And then he's like, hold on a second, just hold on a second, Christopher. We need to get the bass and the drums and the foundation set so that we have something. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, so we have something and we can hear it and we can get excited about it, so that the rest of the day is built on success. And when, you do something for 5 hours a day that you're not good at, or that is a struggle, or like that it breaks, or it's frustrating, or you are constantly running into problems, you actually have a morale sort of burnout that happens long term. And so there is a cost to DIY. And you had asked earlier, why would I do the things that I'm terrible at? And I have a slightly different answer than Tosca. And this is kind of the conundrum with DIY. Sometimes it is important to do the thing you're not good at. Like I just said, like I need to learn sales, or I know, Jillian, you have a mentor. I'm sure there are things that you struggle with that you need to learn. Absolutely. And I think the question isn't, are you bad at it or good at it, but does it help me improve my core offering? Or another way to say it, does it help me learn and grow core skill sets? So for example, I am learning, doing a DIY Facebook class versus outsourcing our Facebook ads, because I want to learn so that I can teach other people and my clients how to do it. But other people probably don't want to learn how to do those things. So I think, being able to look at that for yourself in your activities and see where you're actually able to grow into your core competencies versus just busy work that you're never going to be good at and is never part of your core offering. So
yeah, that is so good. You guys, this has been such a good conversation. I feel like I could sit with you guys at dinner and just like pull up a mic and have like a conversation all night with you guys. And I have no doubt I'm going to bring you guys back on the podcast for sure. But if people are listening to this podcast today and they're like, okay, I need some tech help, I need to reach out and get support, where can people find you guys?
Well, we are mostly hanging out on Instagram. Yes. We're Dream Tech BFF. We also, Christopher, are we on YouTube already?
Yeah, we are. Yeah. So every week we do a Tech Tuesday. We just released one today, where we've kind of come up with a small tip, something easy, an easy fix for you to improve your technology. So you can find us on YouTube there. And also our website has all the information about the email, ads, Instagram, and social media marketing technology that we support. It's dreamtechbff.com.
I love that. You guys, thank you so much for being here today. This is going to be such a powerful episode for my community here. And I'm so grateful for both of you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning in to the Scale Your Sales podcast. If today's episode has you fired up, would you do me a huge favor and leave a review over on Apple or Spotify podcast? Or, of course, you can always take a screenshot and share it on your social media. That is the way we grow this show, and so that other people can absolutely learn how to grow their sales as well. I am on a mission to change the mindset of sales. I want people to freaking love sales, because the reality is sales is the foundation of everything you do. It's how your business generates revenue consistently. So remember, keep showing up and being unapologetic about selling, because once you fall in love with selling, the sky is absolutely the limit. Until next time, happy selling, and my DMs are always open. I can't wait to get to know you better.